People go to these gory horror movies to get a glimpse at what they show in the movies. The only difference is I did it for real.
So what point of time did you totally give in to these feelings altogether and not try and change anything?
After the ambassador, that really got things in full swing.
Yeah, I always kept my feelings completely to myself. And so this is sort of learning experience for me.
I mean, that feels like you've been fairly open with me.
It's easier as practice.
Can you answer for me just what was it in that caused you to want to kill them?
The underlying force, I think, was obviously a warped sexual drive. Just a constant feeling of emptiness and not being able to find anything in life that really gave me a sense of happiness, peace, or fulfillment. I was always searching for something more. One night I went out and I met this, I guess he's Indian, and he was standing there, said he was waiting for the bus.
Do you remember what his name was?
No, I don't.
Where was Grandma?
She was upstairs, sound asleep. And I asked him, how late can you stay? And he said, not later than early morning. And it was already approaching early morning.
Okay. Well, what was going through your mind?
I just wanted to keep him. I guess that's the best way to describe it. My thoughts obviously weren't the thoughts of a sane person at the time. I would have rather he had stayed alive, but strangling seemed to be the way to keep him. This whole situation has forced me to take a different look at how I lived my life and what my
never
thoughts
saw it at the time?
I may have seen it, but I chose to ignore it, bury it, submerge it under the compulsion that was driving me. It's a morbid interest, obviously.
All right, and what did you start with?
Just roadkills, dogs, possums. In 9th grade, we dissected a baby pig. After we were done with dissection, took the pig's head home and took the flesh off and kept the skull for a while. Why, I don't know. I'm not even sure whether I was capable of a real sense of love even back then. Not even sure if I am now.
You don't know that you know how to love? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not sure I do. No. The person who can love, I don't think, would do these things. Saw this Eurasian guy walking down the street in the afternoon. Asked him if he wanted to make some money, $50. He said yes. For pictures, we went back. He stripped down to his underwear. I took 2 pictures of him, one on the bed and one standing up, I think. And I was drinking some coffee with Irish cream mist in it. And I gave him some and had sleeping pills in it. And he drank some. The whole time he stayed there, maybe an hour at the most. Said he had to be going. I paid him the $50. And he left.
Why did you let him go?
Because I had no knife. I had no intention of injuring him. I just wanted to stay with him and lay with him a while.
Okay, you're still living at Grandma's house
Right.
at this time? Okay.
2 2 months before I was to go into the work release center. It was closing time at Lacage.
Was it one of your regular bars?
Mm-hmm. And struck up a conversation with this black guy.
What was his name?
I think his name was Tony. I think. That's what he told me his name was anyway. Tony. He had a friend, a white man with him, and his friend had a car. And then during the car ride, he's very affectionate, apparently very drunk. And we drove to 57th and Lincoln.
But when you did go out that night, though, and you met this guy and you decided that he seemed like a kind of nice guy, what came into your mind at that time that you wanted to ask him back? Did you become fearful in any way that this was going to happen again?
No, I thought that it would just be a regular night. I brought him back. Well, my judgment isn't always so good when I'm drinking, especially when I drink a lot. And we went up to the bedroom and laid around. He was making some comments about, getting to be early and he'd have to leave. Went down and made a cup of coffee with the pills. He fell asleep. And that's when I strangled him.
Did it ever get into your mind at that time that, in fact, you had lost him rather than keeping him?
I suppose that realization did hit me, yeah, but
When?
after they were dead,
How did that feel?
unfulfilling. Felt like a waste. And he had a nice looking face, so with the head, I cut that off, put it in a large white barrel, filled it up with acetone, and that preserved the head.
Why did you do that this time?
Well, just branching out into different variations.
So you kept the genitals and you kept the head. But did you still feel as though you had your companion?
This all is so bizarre sounding now to me.
Do you think you loved Tony?
Yeah, I could say that if I knew how to love, I would have loved him. It was just a matter of trying to preserve what I had left of him.
What were you hoping for?
Hoped he would just dry out and stay looking like he did in life, but it didn't work out that way. Because by that time it was fairly obvious that it didn't look like Tony anymore. It was just all shriveled up.
Okay. But did it still excite you?
No, not as much. The excitement was wearing off. After I got out of the work release center, I moved out of Grants and into this apartment. Well, was looking for an apartment that looked halfway decent. Saw the Oxford apartments and walked in. They had a for rent sign in front. And I moved in May of 90, I think. Had the movers bring my TV and a big chest that I had with all my possessions in it.
The things that you had at Grandma's house?
Mm-hmm. In my mind, I had my own place, someplace nice and private, where I could just take someone back, drug them, and then strangle them.
Is this the first person you took pictures of after they were dead?
Yeah. Nickname was Cash D, I think. I don't know his real name.
And what did you use to take the pictures of? You had a camera?
And it was a Polaroid camera.
Or how long did it last?
An hour.
Of just taking photographs?
Mm-hmm. It just felt like a waste to me to destroy someone that looked so nice. But by that time, I had no choice. I mean, he was dead, and I had to find somebody to dispose of the remains. A day or two later, I went out and bought this large 80-gallon kettle from one of the restaurant supply.
For that, you went and got a huge barrel, and so you could put the acid in for the bones?
Yeah, it was a trash barrel.
And so you put the bones in there and it would just
turn into a slush that then can be scooped out into the toilet and flushed down.
And so then what did you do with the skull?
Kept that
Where'd you keep it?
in the closet area.
With the deaf-mute guy.
I wanted to keep him with me, so I gave him the drink with the pills in it, fell asleep, and I wanted to see if I could think of a way to keep him with me without actually killing him. And so I had a drill at home, and it's going to sound bad, but should I say it? Took the drill while I was asleep, drilled a small hole in his skull to see if I could make it so that he would just sort of be like in a zombie state.
Jack, where did you get that into?
It came from my own thoughts. Just in my own thinking that I thought maybe it would work, because I didn't want to keep killing people and not having anything left except the skull. I went out and bought a 5-foot square freezer.
Okay, now what made you think that you wanted to do this?
Because I was preparing for more